It was a university alumni reunion, a place Rodrigo never mentioned attending. He was in the corner of the photo, 15 years younger but unmistakable. However, the name beneath his face wasn't Rodrigo Salcedo. It was something else entirely. Investigating this trail, I discovered that this identity had ceased to exist in public records 14 years earlier, just a year before he came into my life. My obsession led me to cross-reference data, dates, and locations for an exhausting week. I discovered that Rodrigo hadn't just changed his name. He'd erased an entire life. The most painful discovery was a marriage certificate from 17 years prior, issued under his original identity, a union that, according to the documents, had never been legally dissolved. For 2 days, I lived with him in silence, serving him coffee and sleeping beside him, waiting for the other piece of the puzzle to appear at our doorstep. That moment arrived the following Monday. A woman named Patricia, around 40 years old, appeared in my garden. She wasn't alone. She was accompanied by 2 children, a 10-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl. The boy had Rodrigo's eyes. Patricia looked at me with a calm born of waiting and said, "You must be the new wife. I'm the first." She explained that she had spent 14 years searching for her husband, who one day simply left home and never returned, leaving behind a pregnant woman and a life he chose to completely erase in order to start over under a made-up name. Patricia had given Rodrigo 6 months to confess the truth to me after having found him by chance in an architecture magazine. Since the deadline had passed the previous week, she decided to send the cake and finally appear to demand not the man, but justice for her children. When Rodrigo arrived that afternoon and found us both sitting in the living room, the architect of perfect lives crumbled. No explanation could rebuild the ground that had opened up beneath our feet. I discovered I had been married to a fictional version of myself, not a real person, and that the man I loved was merely an architectural construct of someone running from their own responsibilities. In the end, the truth not only freed me from a lie, but also confronted me with the void of 12 years of fabricated memories. Rodrigo hadn't just lied about his birthday or his name. He had built a home on the foundation of another family's abandonment. As Patricia and I talked, I realized that we had both been victims of his knack for designing spaces where the past couldn't enter. But time is a material that cannot be molded at will, and my husband ended up being the sole inhabitant of the empty structure he had created. He had built it himself.